Hello everyone, this is Scarzig, and welcome to the Songhai segment of my Shim'Zar full set review. Let's get started quickly with some card changes that Songhai got. They only got one though. Ancestral Divination was changed so that instead of drawing a card from your hand, from your deck, every time you play a minion from your hand to the battlefield, they changed it so that you just draw a card for each friendly minion on the battlefield. So instead of Ancestral Divination allowing you to cycle through your deck, they made it so that it rewards already having board control. It rewards flooding the board, then refilling, instead of using it to refuel and search for things. Normally, Ancestral Divination in its old form was used by minion-based decks to also fish for spells, but this is going to, again, reward Songhai swarmy decks for getting those bodies out on the board and them sticking. So this is pretty good change in my opinion, and of course they needed to make this change because of the new Songhai spell KOAN of Horns, but we'll go into that a little bit later. So to get right to it, we now have the Songhai Battle Pet Ace, which is a 1/2 ranged minion for 1. Now, this is this card unfortunately is not very good. Ranged battle pets move before they attack. It's part of their AI, and so Ace, even if you play it in the corner, it's going to slowly work its way towards the battle as it's firing at the opponent, and it's just going to die to whatever manages to get in range of it. You're going to have to waste your own resources like Mist Dragon Seal to put Ace back in the corner, and it's just going to stubbornly try to get back into, in the board. And even in like ranged based decks, Ace isn't really that great, because if you wanted, it's a 1-drop, which is pretty interesting, but Songhai already has Heartseeker, and there's not too much of a difference between 1 HP and 2 HP, except that, Ace might survive a Ghost Lightning or a Blood Tear Ping or something along those lines. But since it's going to, again, be moving towards the fight, not very good for a ranged unit, unfortunately. Songhai's other battle pet is Show, which has the Dying Wish. Put a random Songhai spell into your action bar, and it costs 1 less. Now, as you can see, Show is a 2-mana 2/3, which is right on a standard stat line, even though battle pets typically have slightly higher than average stats. But however, he makes up for it with drawing you a card when it dies, and it costs 1 less, which is really, really huge. Show is going to be in the thick of things, of course. You can play it near something that you want it to suicide into and get that spell right away. Well, not right away, but you can definitely count on him dying pretty consistently, so that's definitely a good aspect of the card. And Songhai, when you really think of all of their spells, getting one of them randomly isn't going to be too much of a hindrance, because worst case scenario, you just replace it, and because it reduces the spell by 1, it's only going to whiff on like Inner Focus. If it draws you an Inner Focus, you don't even care that the Inner Focus didn't have its cost reduced, because getting an extra free copy of Inner Focus is enormous. So this will be great for spell-based decks. It's just a great minion overall, in my opinion. Even if you can't control it, it makes up for it with a very strong effect. Next up, we have Battle PANDDO. This minion was spoiled a little bit ago for us, and whenever he takes damage, it deals 1 damage to all enemies. That does include generals, of course, and this was confirmed that it does work with Deathstrike Seal. Deathstrike Seal equipped onto a Battle PANDDO, and then you hit something, and then it just AoEs the opponent's board and clears it out. This is a fun tool for possibly a Control Songhai variant coming into play, but it might be a bit too cheeky, I guess you could say. Like, relying on the Battle PANDDO sticking and then keeping, a Deathstrike Seal in hand. It's a bit too much mana for not really a lot of come up. If you get it to go off, I guess it's good if you're getting swarmed, but Songhai generally doesn't care about being an anti-swarm sort of faction, so it's kind of moot to add this, but I mean, it'll be a decent pickup for the Gauntlet, and if you're in the Swarm Abyssian matchup, I suppose. Gives you a little something that you might not have had before. Moving on, we've got Crescent Spear, which is a 1 mana artifact. It's legendary. You give your general +1 attack, which isn't anything to write home about. But the spells that you cast that deal damage deal +1 damage. And honestly, Songhai doesn't really have use for this either. Because they have so many great ways like Blood Rage Mask and Four Winds Magi that are going to be adding bonus damage to their spells already, that Crescent Spear isn't really needed, because Blood Rage Mask and Four Winds Magi, although that bonus damage goes onto the general's face, that's kind of what you want anyway. Crescent Spear might be able to bump your Phoenix Fire up to dealing 4 damage, and then you can take out bigger things. But Songhai generally is able to do some clever workarounds when they need more than 3 damage to take out a threat. So Crescent Spear is a bit redundant in my opinion, and even if you were to combo this with the Songhai Sister and get like really dank 5 damage Phoenix Fires, it's really not worth running in the deck, because you have to have the Crescent Spear equipped and then have all of your damage spells ready. And if you have to use those spells to clear minions instead of just hitting the general's face harder, then you're just setting yourself behind anyway, in my opinion. So that's all I have to say about Crescent Spear. It's an interesting angle that they're trying to add, but Songhai doesn't need it. Next up, we've got Crimson Coil, a 2 mana spell that deals 2 damage to a minion. Activate your battle pets. So this is, 2 damage for 2 mana is average cost. Being able to activate your battle pets is actually really nice as well. Your battle pets are going to go right at the beginning of your turn. And if they survive, you get to reactivate your battle pets, because battle pets are unaffected by inner focus, remember. So Crimson Coil is going to be the way that you reactivate your battle pets. This is just the Songhai battle pet swarmy deck support that every faction has their own angle on, and we'll see this see play in that particular deck, but Crimson Coil outside of that isn't very useful. Next up, we've got Shadow Waltz, and I was actually really excited for this card. I feel like it's very strong, but I've heard some people say that it's not good, and I was very surprised to hear that. It's a 1 mana spell. Lower the cost of all minions with backstab in your action bar by 1, and give them +1/+1. This card, I think you can't really talk about without bringing up KATARA, which is the new backstab minion for Songhai. It's a 1 mana 1/3 with backstab 3. On its own, it already hits harder than Kaido Assassin when you get that backstab off. Kaido Assassin is going to be a slightly better freestanding body, but KATARA, since being able to combo it with spells and everything, get into those backstab ranges is going to be huge. Combined with Shadow Waltz, it becomes a free 2/4, and I think that the possibility of getting Shadow Waltz, a KATARA, and or a Kaido Assassin in your opening hand is strong enough for your early mid game that it's worth running. And I guess time will tell, because Songhai right now is still being overshadowed by the strength of Spell High, and Mirror Meld, which we'll get to in a little bit, is also very strong. And I think that those options being so strong on their own kind of pushes people away from running Shadow Waltz in the first place, just because you have other more consistent options. So to move right along, we've got Key Beholder, and I really like this card. I was super excited when I saw it, because the art is really badass, first of all, and this thing is absolutely insane. It's a 3 mana 3/2 ranged unit with the opening gambit. An enemy minion cannot move next turn. Now, it's not a stun, so that minion's still going to be able to attack anything that's near. And we do need to test to see if the minion that cannot move can still be affected by Repulsor Beast, Mistdragon Seal, Hearth Sister, that kind of stuff. But you can play this going second, and you can actually play in a more forward position if you want, because you can take out your opponent's 2-drop that they played on their first turn, and then just completely start oppressing them. The thing about Key Beholder, it being a 3 mana 3/2, way back in the day, Widowmaker, which is Songhai's other ranged unit that nobody talks about, it's the redheaded stepchild of Songhai. used to be a 3 mana 3/1 ranged unit, and they actually nerfed it to its current state. What's it, like a 4 mana 2/4 ranged unit or something? No, I think I'm getting the stats wrong. But because a 3 mana 3/1 ranged unit was actually really oppressive. If you didn't have the answer for Widowmaker right away when it came down, it would just start raining 3 damage onto the board, killing whatever 2-drops that you play, killing probably whatever 3-drops that you play as well, or it was just going to hit you your general in the face. And then that combined with Saberspine Seals, combined with Killing Edge, it was so good, because if you didn't have the answer right away, it would snowball the game. And like I said, this was a long time ago, and the meta has evolved, and people have better answers nowadays. The thing about that, though, is Widowmaker would die to a 1 damage ping. It would die to, Ghost Lightning, Blood Tear Alchemist, whatever 1 damage you could find. Key Beholder having 2 HP is going to make it a lot harder to deal with, especially when, again, its 3 damage is going to be controlling the board from a distance. I am going to be building a ranged Songhai deck for sure, with Key Beholder holding the spotlight and holding down the board for me, if you know what I'm saying. And so, to loop back around, we have KOAN of Horns. This spell was spoiled. It's an 8 mana legendary spell. You transform all minions in your action bar and deck into 0-cost Gorehorns, and then you draw 3 cards. And this this spell is just completely meme-heavy nonsense. If you get to super duper late game, like if you're at 8 mana with Songhai, you should be just about ready to kill your opponent, or you're about to lose anyway. So KOAN of Horns is it's going to be strictly for the people who want to just go that silly direction, in my opinion, because you transform all the minions in your action bar and your deck, and then draw 3 cards. So, there's a chance that you could play KOAN of Horns and then develop 5 or 6 Gorehorns and just completely surround yourself, completely surround the enemy, and if they aren't getting ready to finish you off, then you have a bunch of 3/3s that need to be dealt with. So you'll probably win the game over the next couple turns. And if the meta ever gets to a point where generals aren't being bursted down from 10, 12 health combos, which is not going to happen, then KOAN of Horns would be really ridiculous. But for now, it's just for everybody who wants a little bit of spicy memes in their life. And so finally we get to Mirror Meld, which is so strong. I think that this spell is absolutely broken. It's a 2 mana spell. You summon a copy of a friendly minion that costs 2 or less nearby. Now, this spell is not gated by the stats of the minion, only the cost. So this Mirror Meld allows you to double dip on any buffs that you cast on a minion. Mirror Meld is going to allow you to duplicate your Chakri avatar that just got really huge. You're going to be able to pull out an extra Kaido Assassin if you want. There's plenty of other 2-drops that you can theorize about, but Chakri avatar, most all battle pets, you can get an extra Zoe on the battlefield. It'll draw you another spell. Get an extra Heartseeker that's been buffed. You know what I mean? Like Mirror Meld is going to double the power of a minion. You're going to be able to double dip onto those spells. It's almost like a funky workaround of giving something celerity. My main concern with Mirror Meld was its synergy with Tuskboar, because when you copy a Tuskboar, its copy is also going to have Rush, so it will be able to act as soon as it comes onto the board. This is like a very, very specific fractal replication that's cheaper. So late game with Songhai, late game, you can play a Tuskboar, Saberspine, Mirror Meld, and then that's 16 damage for 6 mana. And I think that Songhai is going to be really, really overbearing depending on how often they can get those Mirror Meld combos. Spellhigh, of course, is going to make use of getting extra value out of their Heartseekers and their really buff Chakri avatars, but any other variants of Songhai are also going to be able to use Mirror Meld, just because it gives your deck that X factor where you might be able to pull out that extra little bit of damage from a Tuskboar when you need it, or just get that extra body on the board to complete a nice body block or to lock your opponent down. So I really like this card. We're going to see a lot of it. It's going to be very strong in the future. Coming up here, we've got Onyx Jaguar. It's a 5 mana 3/3, which is not really a good stat line. And whenever a friendly minion is moved for any reason, give it +1/+1. Songhai's got a lot of movement spells that are going to allow them to buff their minions multiple times in one turn, because you can move something, inner focus it, then Mist Dragon Seal it, juxtaposition, etc., etc., etc. And Onyx Jaguar is just going to be passively generating those bonuses for you in the back. A 5 mana investment isn't really that high for Songhai because their spells that they use to combo with their minions are so cheap. You can still play Onyx Jaguar at like 6 or 7 mana, and then you're able to use Mana Vortex to cheapen a spell, and you're still going to be able to get those combos going to get multiple buffs. And on even just moving your minions across the board, giving them that +1/+1 is actually really huge, because it might allow a backstab minion to stick to the board for one more turn, and then you have another body available to come in with Blink or Mist Dragon Seal or something and really clinch the deal. So Onyx Jaguar is very, very strong, and Songhai might not even need this card, but it's there and it's going to do a lot of work for them. And next up, we've got Pandamonium, which is a 4 mana spell to transform all minions into 0/2 Pando that cannot be attacked until end of turn. So you cast this on your turn to transform everything into Pandos. This allows you to sidestep a provoke or something that's been buffed, because when it transforms and transforms back, all the minions that have been buffed are going to have their buffs cleansed. The other thing with Pandamonium as well is that if you really were running Crescent Spear, then you could Pandamonium Ghost Lightning, and then the Ghost Lightning would clear your opponent's board, and then when you end your turn, your minions transform back into their original state, sans buffs. So Pandamonium is pretty interesting, but again, I don't think Songhai generally cares about doing AoE board clear per se, but it's a nice little card that they'll have in their pocket if they ever need to sidestep something and then finish you off with their general. You know what I mean? To get around an effect, because it's going to be a dispel for one turn. So it's probably not going to see play, but it's a nice option that they do have available. And lastly, we've got Grandmaster Zendo. And this card was teased, not truly spoiled, but teased a while back. And the enemy general moves and attacks as if they are a battle pet. Grandmaster Zendo is going to take control of your general away from you, and it's going to move and attack the nearest enemy. And so this card is actually really ridiculous, because you can drop this at 6 mana right next to the enemy general, and then when you end your turn, their turn starts up, their general's going to move first before they have a chance to do anything, and then hit Grandmaster Zendo. It's almost like a 6 mana 4/4 that does 4 damage to the enemy general at the end of your turn. So it's like kind of like Dark Nemesis like that. But the real key here is that after they've moved and attacked Grandmaster Zendo, if they can't clear it or they don't have an answer for it, and they have to end their turn, Grandmaster Zendo's a body that is on the board still, and if you leave it in that same spot, their general is going to move and attack it again. So what you can do then is buff Grandmaster Zendo, attack them, and then when you end your turn and they're still a battle pet, and then they're forced to attack Grandmaster Zendo, it's almost like you're giving Grandmaster Zendo celerity, because it's forcing the opponent's general to attack them. You do have to worry about playing around their battle pet AI, but like I said, if you play Grandmaster Zendo right next to them, move all of the rest of your units away, then their general is just going to focus on solely Grandmaster Zendo. So this is going to be a 6 mana answer or lose card, in my opinion, from Songhai. It's going to be a great way from the closeout games. I do not like that they have a card like this that takes control of your general away from you, because moving your general around the board is such a core concept of the game that like going against that feels really bad, because there's no other well, that's a lie. They added Mesmerize into the game, which is the only other like effect in the game that's going to allow you to directly move or affect the opponent's general in such a way, you know what I mean? Like cause them to do something they don't want to do. Like you can cut off their options and keeping them from doing things they want to do, like with provoke and stuff like that, but actually causing them to do things they don't want to move, like Mesmerize moves a general one space. And Grandmaster Zendo is going to make them move and attack something that they don't want to attack. And it's not like it just forces them to move towards it. It forces them to attack him. So, like I said, if they don't have an answer, Grandmaster Zendo is just going to close out the game by himself and get so much value. So Songhai, alongside all of their other crazy moves, also has a 6 mana answer or lose option now. And that is the entire Songhai set. Thank you for joining me, and I will see you in the next video. You have a good